What's hiding in the deep sea? You might wish you never asked. From zombie worms to anglerfish, these are some of the most frightening animals that live in the ocean. Nightmare fuel up ahead. Zombie worm. Ever heard of the zombie worm? Crazy creature that lives deep in the ocean and feeds on the bones of dead whales and other sea creatures. Here's the thing, doesn't have a mouth, anus, or gut. So how does it eat, you might ask? Well, it excretes acid to break down the bones and release the fats and proteins inside. And then bacteria living inside the worm help digest the food. Pretty wild, right? However, that's not all. These worms were first discovered in 2002, living in the bones of a rotting gray whale on the deep sea floor. Since then, more species have been discovered. They're about 1 to 3 inches long and are officially called ossidax, which is Latin for bone eater. And if all that isn't strange enough, only the female worms do any drilling. The microscopic males live inside their bodies, pressure detecting lateral lines along their flanks to help them navigate through the pitch-black depths. Shape-shifting whalefish. The shape-shifting whalefish is one of the most mysterious and elusive creatures in the ocean, and scientists have only got a few glimpses of it. The most recent sighting was of a bright orange female whalefish around 6,600 feet deep offshore of Monterey Bay, California. What's really interesting about this fish is that it goes through some pretty dramatic changes throughout its life. When they're young, they're called tape tails, and they have these long, streamer-like tails and mouths that look like they have an overbite. They live near the ocean surface and feed on small shellfish. But when they grow up, they can take on 2 vastly different body shapes depending on whether they're male or female. If they're male, they become big noses and their bodies get covered in scales, and their mouths shrink, their jawbones waste away, and their noses balloon outward. They'll never feed again, so their intestines, esophagus, and stomach all shrivel and disappear. Instead, their chest cavity is filled by their sexual organs and a gigantic liver as an energy store. Females undergo a no less dramatic transformation. Their bodies expand to resemble a miniature baleen whale, and they grow much larger than their male counterparts. Deep-sea blob sculpin. The blob sculpin is a deep-sea fish that lives in the North Pacific Ocean, near Japan, the Bering Sea, and California. It can be found at depths of 839 to 2,800 meters, where it mainly eats crustaceans, mollusks, and sea pens. One of the most interesting things about this fish is that it takes care of its eggs by fanning them to keep them free of sediment. Pretty rare for deep-sea fish. The blob sculpin can grow up to 70 centimeters in length and has a broad and flattened head, large and widely separated eyes, and a curved mouth with fleshy lips. It also has a gelatinous layer between its skin and muscle, which helps it survive in the harsh deep-sea environment. And it seems that these fish are pretty good parents. They were seen brooding large pinkish eggs in nests, actually lying on the eggs or in contact with them in many instances. The eggs were free of sediment, which makes it likely that the adults were actively fanning them. This is the first known example of parental care in egg-laying deep-sea fishies. SLOANE'S VIPERFISH. SLOANE'S VIPERFISH is one cool fish. It's found in waters all over the world and has some pretty neat features. For starters, it has these light-producing organs called photophores along its belly. These lights flash blue, green, or yellow and can attract prey, but they're mostly used to hide the fish's silhouette from predators below. That's not all. Prey comes near, the viperfish drops a glowing light on its dorsal fin ray like a fishing lure in front of its mouth. And then, snap! Its muscular jaw filled with clear, sharp teeth comes crashing down like a trap. Get this, the SLOANE'S viperfish can unhinge its skull, open its jaw up to 90 degrees, and expand its stomach to swallow prey that can be over 50% larger than itself. How crazy is that? So what does this fish like to eat? Well, its favorite meal is lanternfish, but it's not too picky. Scientists have also found algae, fish eggs, and small crustacean in viperfish specimens. After a meal, the SLOANE'S viperfish can go for days without eating again. Deep-sea hatchetfish. Hatchetfish are found in tropical, subtropical, and temperate waters of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Ocean. They're usually found at depths of about 200 to 1,000 meters. Their pelvis is rotated to a vertical position, and their mouth is located at the tip of the snout and directed almost straight downwards. They have a really unique body shape. They're super thin and flattened from side to side. In fact, they look like tiny little hatchets. There are about 45 different species of hatchetfish, and they range in size from 1 to 6 inches. What makes these fish really interesting is that they have rows of light organs along the lower edge of each side of their body. These light organs, called photophores, help them blend in with their surroundings. This is also meant to avoid predators. How is that? Well, it matches the light intensity with the light penetrating the water from above, so they don't appear darker if seen from below. Pretty clever, right? Goblin shark. The shark is sometimes called a living fossil because it's the only one left of its kind from a family that's been around for 125 million years. Pretty long time. The goblin shark is pink-skinned and has a really long, flat snout. Its jaws can even stick out 3 inches from its mouth to catch prey. Pretty cool, right? These sharks can grow to 12 feet long and weigh up to 460 pounds. They usually live at depths of greater than 330 feet along continental shelves, submarine canyons, and seamounts all over the world. One of the more fascinating things about the goblin shark is its ability to catch prey. Its top and bottom teeth are attached to ligaments or bands of skin tissue tucked into its mouth. When prey is just out of reach, the shark extends the elastic tissue out of the mouth to nab the grub. This allows the shark to chow down on snacks such as SLOANE'S and squid. Despite their fearsome appearance and abilities, not much is known about the behavior of these rarely seen animals. Scientists believe that goblin sharks are solitary creatures like many other shark species. They also think that these sharks are the most active in the morning and evening, and what do they do in the afternoon? Sleep? Who knows. Deep-sea dragonfish. The deep-sea dragonfish is a ferocious predator that lives in the deep oceans of the world. It's a member of the family SLOANE'S and it's known for its sharp fang-like teeth that it uses it to catch prey in its deep-sea environment. But that's just the beginning of what makes this fish so interesting. Like most deep-sea creatures, it has the ability to produce its own light through bioluminescence. It has a special organ called a photophore that helps it create the light. This adaptation is incredibly useful in the dark depths of the ocean where this fish lives. The photophore can be used to attract prey, communicate with potential mates, and even as a defense mechanism against predators. The fish also has a large head and mouth full of sharp teeth. It even has a long string-like structure called a barbel with a light-producing photophore at the end attached to its chin. This barbel can be used as a lure to attract prey towards the fish's mouth. But there's even more to this fish than meets the eye. A specific species of SLOANE'S, the Chalidus, can't luminesce for more than 30 minutes without adrenaline. This means that when the fish is under stress or in danger, it can produce an intense burst of light to startle predators and make it escape. Anglerfish. Anglerfish are some of the most fascinating creatures in the ocean. These bony fish use a modified luminescent fin ray as a lure for prey, which is pretty amazing. They have a symbiotic bacteria that produce the luminescence, which is just another example of how incredible nature can be. These fish live in various depths and locations of the ocean, mostly in the Atlantic and Antarctic. They have huge heads, crescent-shaped mouths, and sharp teeth, making them efficient predators. They're also camouflaged, which helps them blend in with their surroundings and catch their prey by surprise. What really sets anglerfish apart is their extreme sexual dimorphism and sexual symbiosis. Males are much smaller than females, and they've evolved into permanent parasitic mates. When a young, free-swimming male angler encounters a female, he latches onto her with his sharp teeth. Over time, the male physically fuses with the female. This in turn connects his skin and bloodstream and loses his eyes and all his internal organs except the testes. A female will carry 6 or more males on her body, and this fact alone makes the anglerfish some of the weirdest creatures on the planet. Frilled shark. Frilled shark is an amazing creature that's considered a living fossil because of its primitive characteristics. It's got 6 pairs of frilly gill slits around its neck, which is how it got its name. And here's something else interesting. It's actually more closely related to rays and skates than to other sharks. It prefers to chill in the deep waters of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans closer to the ocean floor. When it comes to reproduction, this shark takes things pretty slow. It has the longest gestation period of all living vertebrates, lasting up to 3.5 years. While it has no distinct breeding season, it can produce a litter of 2 to 15 shark pups. Another fascinating fact about the frilled shark is that it uses its liver to control its buoyancy. This allows it to move up and down in the ocean. At night, it moves towards the ocean surface to find food, a process known as DL vertical migration. When hunting food, the frilled shark moves like an eel, bending and lunging to capture and swallow whole prey with its long and flexible jaws, which are equipped with 300 recurved needle-like teeth. In short, living nightmare. Humboldt squid. The Humboldt squid, also known as the jumbo squid or jumbo flying squid, is one creature you definitely wouldn't want to encounter, especially if it's having a bad day. But more on that one later. These guys are massive, reaching up to 1.5 meters in length, and they're the largest member of their family. They live in the eastern Pacific Ocean and they're the only known species of their genus. But don't let their size fool you, they only live for about 1 to 2 years. One of the cooler things about these squid is that they can rapidly change their body coloration. They can flash their skin from red to white in an instant. These squids are usually found at depths of 200 to 700 meters. They also range from Tierra del Fuego all the way up to California, and they're even spreading north into the waters of the Pacific Northwest, so keep an eye out for these fascinating creatures. Here's the thing though, these squids have a bit of a rep for being aggressive towards humans, but it's important to know that this behavior might only happen during feeding time. So if you ever come across one, just make sure it isn't hungry. See you all next time.